Hello, welcome to the Pregnancy Diaries. So, this is going to be like a mini series that's going to pan out throughout my whole pregnancy on the podcast. So, welcome. And I'm just going to be sharing like all about my pregnancy journey, how I've been approaching things, different, just like things I feel like I personally have been like questioning. And then I found the answers to, just like things like that. And just like my journey, because I feel like just hearing someone else's journey can be super rewarding, especially if it's positive. And I've had a really incredible time so far in my pregnancy. There's obviously been the lower points, although like it hasn't consumed my pregnancy. I would say I've had a really great time so far. I am 15 and a half weeks, so I'm still pretty early. I like getting closer to like the mid time of my pregnancy. I am like, well in my way of the second trimester. But like I just wanted to share this because I feel like the biggest thing that I have faced probably since being pregnant has been learning to separate myself from the negative comments of other people who have previously been pregnant, or people who had, maybe struggled through like early motherhood and their pregnancy, their birth, labor, things like that. And knowing that I am entering this era of being a first time mum, and there's going to be so much for me to learn, and there's always going to be so much to learn. But I think the biggest thing has been separating myself from other people's beliefs when it comes to this topic and their own experiences, but also not taking away that that was their experience. And I've honestly been in such like an inward energy. I haven't been like showing up as much on social media because I've honestly just been feeling like, who am I? Almost like, what sort of mother am I stepping into? Do you know what I mean? Without all the noise. So I've kind of just been really in my own little like womb cave. It's almost like the energy of being on my bleed, but just being super inward, spending time with my body and my beautiful growing baby that is inside of me, which is just like the biggest miracle ever. And yeah, I've also been stepped away from the podcast for a few weeks there, and it actually felt really good for me. I've been super consistent for a really long time for my podcast. And when I first sort of made the internal decision of I just want to step back for a few weeks, I did have the feelings of like, oh, but like, then you're not being consistent, then you're not showing up, then you're not doing the things. And I kind of had all that come up. And then I just listened to my intuition, and here I am, and I'm feeling really good to start showing up again. So I have notes on my phone that are going to help me structure this episode. And I just want to like sort of answer the questions around we found out, what did we do when we found out? Who did we tell straight away? Like, what was the first thing we did? Because that was honestly like really interesting to witness us in like, I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh my God, call the doctor, like things like that. But there's also not really information of like what you're supposed to do and like things like that. So I kind of just want to share that and like just things I've learned along the way, how we found out. So obviously I did a pregnancy test and it came up positive, and it was so incredibly positive. So I don't know if like anyone like knows how positive a pregnancy test can look. Sometimes it's like a super faint line. I am not kidding you. The way I did it was I like peed on the stick, and then my plan was to put the stick upside down on the bench and then look after like 30 seconds or 2 minutes, whatever it is that you're supposed to wait. It literally went positive before I even could flip it over from like peeing on it. Like it was positive instantly. So I kind of then instantly knew like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I couldn't even like open it with Jai or anything. But that was like super cool. I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm fucking pregnant. And then I like called Jai downstairs and was just like, I'm pregnant. And it was a really beautiful moment. I uploaded like the video on TikTok, and Jai was just just classic Jai, like, just no shirt on in his like board shorts. He was probably out in the garden when I called him. It was just like the classic Jai, but it was a really beautiful moment. I was shaking so much because a part of me like wasn't expecting it, and a part of me was also so excited. It was like, I can't explain. You feel every single emotion rush through your body in the exact same moment. So like think about like the like excitement, and then like the holy fuck, and then just like the, is this happening? Am I ready? Like all of that is just like hitting you, but like all in the same moment. So I was honestly shaking. Like when I held up the pregnancy test when Jai came downstairs, I was shaking like up and up and down so much that he literally was like, I cannot see what it says. And I was thinking, clearly I'm pregnant. And I said it in such a bratty tone, but like, honestly, it's just like so on brand for me. So it's fine. I told Jai I was actually going downstairs to do a workout and my bleed was 5 days late. And if you've been like a listener of the podcast for a long time or you know me, you know, like I am the queen of the menstrual cycle and my cycle is a perfect 28-day cycle. Like it has always been like such a regular cycle, like not always, but like in the time that I've worked on my holistic health and everything, it has been the most perfect cycle with like not really any side effects, I would say. Like I don't get like severe cramping, I don't get like super intense like nauseousness, nothing like that, right? So my period was due on my actual birthday, which was the 20th of April, and I at the time felt like a little bit off, I would say. Like I would say like I was like feeling a bit inward and I was feeling like I felt like I was having a really horrid luteal phase. And I was like, God damn, like imposter syndrome is like coming up. I'm like, oh my God, I like help women with their cycle. Why am I feeling like so bad? Um, and I was just feeling like I had a lot of mood swings and I was just feeling super just like not myself, I guess. And so I kind of like beige flag. It wasn't quite a red flag. I had some cocktails on my actual birthday, which it was interesting because I am not like a huge drinker anyway. Like love some cheeky cocktails, although I just wasn't feeling like it. Like I was really just like, my bleed's due anyway. Like, you know, I was just in that like energy of just like, this just isn't it. Like, I just don't think I feel like this. And I honestly just ended up drinking water on my birthday. It was really weird. Like I had a couple of cocktails and then I ended up just opting for water because I was just not feeling it. And then because my bleed was 5 days late, I was just telling myself, pretty sure that it may be late because I drank and I don't usually drink pregnant. Like it crossed my mind. And I've had this feeling for months leading up to my pregnancy that I was going to fall pregnant soon. Like I swear, everyone in my life, like in close proximity to me, would know that like I've just had this feeling of like I'm going to be pregnant soon. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And I've just had this like energy around me. Like I just could almost feel the energy of my baby around me for like months prior to falling pregnant. Turns out, nope, it wasn't from drinking. I was pregnant. So, you know, we clearly didn't plan this pregnancy, although it's such divine timing. And it's really interesting because all the work I do with the menstrual cycle, it's like, well, then how did you just fall pregnant? You know, like if you track your cycle. And that was like, that was a question of mine as well. I was like, I track my cycle so closely. I know exactly when I am ovulating. I know, you know, my fertile window well, and we have our process around that. And I just could not understand how this happened. And we still are like kind of unsure how this happened because it just doesn't really match up with like when we've been intimate and like when I actually ovulated. But that is so fine, especially like how far along we are. There was a date in particular at the very, very start of March that we were like, this is probably it because it was around my fertile window. It's a miracle that it happened. And honestly, we are so stoked. Like we are so excited. And I just think it's happened at like the most beautiful time of our life. Like imagine turning 25 and then finding out you're pregnant. Like it was honestly just like so exciting. And if you look at like the archetypes of a woman as well, 25 is actually when a woman does like transitions from maiden to mother. And I'm like, oh my God, of course, with the cycles of woman, the archetypes of woman, I am so in alignment. Of course. Like, what did we do when we first found out? So, when we first found out, I like kind of explained that a little bit. And then honestly, we just like cried, hugged, laughed, like all the things. And we were just like, oh my God, we're going to be parents. This is fucking so exciting. And then I just went back and I did a workout in the gym. I did take a photo every time I did anything for the first time after I found out I was pregnant and just like put the caption, first time working out since I'm pregnant, first time peeing since I'm pregnant, like since I know I'm pregnant, and was just kind of like having fun with it. And then we were like, okay, so most people would probably like it got to like the nighttime and we were kind of like most people would probably like go to the doctor or like, you know, what do we want to do? We'd already had the discussions previously, like a couple of weeks or months before. And this is what I mean. We've kind of like prepared for this. So it wasn't like we fell pregnant and were like completely in shock of like, what's our birth plan? Like, what are we going to do? Like, things like that. We actually did have a bit of a game plan in place prior to even falling pregnant. So it's actually just so perfect that it happened. So we knew that we wanted to opt for a private midwife. So we were just like, let's book in our private midwife appointment then. And at this point, I was only 5 weeks pregnant. So I was super early on, maybe even only 4 weeks pregnant. We went to our midwife, and yeah, she's just like kind of sent us to get an ultrasound. But practically, when we found out, we just kept it to ourselves for a little bit, went and the midwife a week later, figured out like where our feet are standing in that sense, because it's kind of like a lot of like the traditional Western way to do it. It's just like go to the doctor, be all scared, like what the fuck, all the things. And I just like didn't really want to do that. And I also have just like so much trust in my body. I was kind of like we'll go to the doctor to get the blood test to make sure that like I actually am pregnant and like, everything's all Gucci. And then we'll like go to the midwife to like book in the midwife so that I'm a super organized person, and like I just didn't want to get to the point of like, later on and then being like, oh my God, we haven't booked her. And then like there's issues there. So that's basically what we did. And then we decided to tell people, like our family. We told our family at 6.5 weeks, or maybe we told our parents earlier than that, obviously. But then like pretty much everyone just knew, like by 7 weeks, like definitely by 7 weeks, we had everyone around us knew. And that was a decision that we chose to make. And I wouldn't take it back, although something I would say is when everyone knows that early on, it kind of can bring up a bit of like fear. Like I personally had a bit of, oh my gosh, what if I miscarry? What if something goes wrong? Then I just kept on reminding myself that all of the people who actually were aware of our pregnancy were probably all the people that we would lean on in a traumatic experience like that if something was to go wrong. So I just kept reminding myself that, and we're fine, everything's fine, which is just incredible. The first person I did tell was my sister, and the first person that Jai told was his brother. So that is pretty cute as well. And everyone was just so excited. Like, honestly, it was so cool just getting everyone's reactions that were like closest to us, and just like how supportive everyone has been and is. Like, of course, I mean, like Jai and I have been together forever, and I just feel like it's like just so perfect, and we're just gonna have like the cutest little baby ever. And it is not a shock that like everyone's been so supportive and stuff, but it was just really cool to witness that. It was also really interesting to like see who I actually felt called to tell. Like, I know that's like a bit of a random thing, but like there was some of my like friends where I was like, oh my God, I didn't even tell you. Like, I've learned, I feel like this could potentially just be a whole other episode. But the biggest thing I've learned, I'll say like the biggest thing I've learned has been to surrender. And it's really interesting because like you think you know surrender until you are, yeah, in your early stages of pregnancy, and you, you've tested positive. And I had like the things coming up around like, what if it's like an ectopic pregnancy, like all of these things, right? But I just had to surrender that my body is healthy, that my body is going to support this baby to grow, and surrender to some of the whirlwind of emotions that were coming up for me. And like I said, I haven't had a super bad experience at all. And I probably will just do a whole other episode on like first trimester and like kind of go into it a bit more. But like I did have a few things coming up for me emotionally, especially in my early days of pregnancy. I really struggled being by myself. I was just super sensitive to, I can't explain it. It's like I felt like I just needed extra nurturing. And now that I'm in my second trimester and everything, I'm like, we're all good. Like, we're having a little baby boy. Like, it's just super, like, I just feel really comfy. I know my body is just like working her magic. I know my baby is healthy. Um, Things feel different to like when I was kind of the unknown. I feel like that's probably a better way of putting it. It was very much the unknown. So it was very much like anxiety. And then it was very much like I just really desired Jai to be around me a lot, or just like someone with me a lot. So I think that would be the biggest thing I've learned is surrender, because at the end of the day, if something was to have gone wrong or is to go wrong, and I'm not at all manifesting that, I'm just genuinely saying it's like it's out of my control, and it's surrender is like the biggest thing I have learnt so far in my pregnancy. So, yes, I hope this has been like enjoyable. I am not going to have a schedule for these episodes. I'm simply just going to um pop them up whenever because I just don't want to put that pressure on myself. I'm just living my best pregnancy life, balancing my nervous system and really just like focusing on nourishing that because some days in pregnancy, even my second trimester, I'm just like there's absolutely not a chance I'm like showing up or anything like that. And then there's other days where I'm like, hell yes, I feel so, so good. So I don't want to put like any sort of structure to that. And as for the podcast, I'm also going to just step away from like a proper structure. Um, Probably just expect like as fortnightly Friday guest episode, but that's still just up in the air because I'm still just deciding what feels really good for me. So even if you have recommendations on like what you prefer as well, jump in my Instagram DMs at sacred space W Tanika Lace and let me know what do you like? Do you like guest episodes? Do you prefer it when it's just like this? Should I just continue the podcast like this for a little bit? Like, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I do have a couple of guests that are like lined up to come on though the podcast soon. So also keep your eyes peeled for that. But yes, welcome to the Pregnancy Diaries. I'm going to call this little series, and I shall see you next time I am recording an episode.